Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Ashwath and I hope you enjoy your time on my channel. Today, I'll be explaining what is the Metaverse. Now before I start, I will be referring to it as a Metaverse, but the actual idea is of a Cyberverse. And Meta developing their own Cyberverse is called the Metaverse, hence that name. More than 200 companies are developing their own Cyberverse. Some examples of this are Microsoft and Oracle. And while making this video, I came across quite an interesting use case of the Cyberverse, and that was with MSI. MSI held a giveaway competition using the idea of the Metaverse. They made their own games on the Cyberverse and allowed people who want to enter the giveaway, play those games and get points and rank up. Once the competition ended, MSI would give away the products to the top 10 people. This is quite an interesting use case and I thought I should mention it. Now enough about what you've already heard about. Let's get into the nitty-gritty. What exactly is the Metaverse? Let's begin. So before I begin, let's first talk about what the current internet is. In the current internet, we are just interacting with it. By this, I mean we're just interacting with the GUI elements, graphical user interface elements, such as the search bar, the pictures on the websites, or the buttons on the website. We're just interacting with it and looking at it. The Metaverse, on the other hand, will be a radically redefined internet. This is because it's going to be an internet that we will not only be interacting with, we will be inside of it and experiencing that internet. What do I mean by this? To help understand this concept, I'll take the example of the Sims game. The Sims game is a game where you have your own avatar and you build your own life on the game. You have an avatar which roams around the city, does jobs, builds a house, etc. Now the Metaverse will be something quite similar to that. You'll be interacting with it by your own avatar, except you will be the avatar. You will roam around, you may have your own house there, you will be doing shopping in actual shops, but they're virtual. So that's kind of how the Metaverse will work in a real life scenario. Now let's take an example of how it would change from the current internet to the Metaverse. So let's take the example of Amazon shopping. If you want to buy a book, you search for the book on the Amazon search bar and it shows you the results below and you just click on them. The new Metaverse will actually be a radically redefined version of this. You'll actually be in the Amazon bookstore and you'll be finding your book and you'll be holding it in your hand and experiencing it. That is something quite fascinating. Because not only will you be searching for a book, you'll actually be interacting with it before you get it. Now, another way that the Metaverse is going to be changing things because of the way it is video calls. It's been said that human conversation is 5% the speech and 95% the gestures that we make. Currently, we are using online platforms like Zoom and Google Meet in order to do these video calls, but they don't really feel like human conversations. This is because we are just looking at it. We aren't seeing like those small gestures such as the moving of the chair. We aren't seeing the small distractions, etc. So it doesn't feel like a human conversation. It feels very alien. And the Metaverse will change all of this. This is because in the Metaverse, you'll have avatars interacting with each other. So when you're having a meeting online, like if it's a class, instead of it being in a scenario where you're just looking at a screen with 15 faces, ideally, as moreover ceiling fans, but anyways, what will happen instead is that you'll actually have all these people in a classroom, a virtual classroom with a teacher at the front of it actually teaching. That'll be so interesting because that'll be like an actual human interaction, because you may be interacting with a person sitting to the right or the left of you, and at the same time seeing a teacher teach in front of you writing on the whiteboard. It'll make human conversations online much more realistic, much more authentic, and much more human. And in addition to that, you won't be seeing ceiling fans as often, which I think is the best part about the Metaverse. Now, moving on, there's also another very interesting idea with the whole metaverse. There'll be a whole new economy generated due to this. So just imagine this, in the metaverse, you may be buying houses, you'll be doing shopping, and you also may be doing other things which involve spending money in the real world. This means that the metaverse may unlock a whole new digital economy. It may unlock a new pathway for cryptocurrencies. And in case you're curious about cryptocurrencies, check out my video which I made about it. It will be up here somewhere. Let's get back to the metaverse. Now just imagine that in the metaverse, you may actually have a hairstylist, you may have a real estate agent. There'll be people employed as shopkeepers on the metaverse. It'll create a whole new economy, different from the one which we have in our real lives. There'll be a virtual economy and a real economy. Isn't that interesting? Now let's shift gears and look at a more important aspect of all of this. You have to think that there are private companies developing these cyberverses. It's not governments. This means that these cyberverses will be made for profit, and our data will be in the hands of all of these companies. And it's not only data which would be just cookies or would be data about what you searched. It'll be much more intricate. It'll be places that you have visited, it'll be where you walk, and more. This means that the companies will have so much more personal data about us. And this is quite a big risk to think about. And there's not much we can do other than hope that there's laws and regulations placed on the cyberverse in such a way that there's no malpractice with this data, and also hope that companies take ethical decisions in order to not use the data in a way which is not proper and trying to exploit it. But the thing is, to understand what laws and regulations are required, we need the metaverse to be in the public. The internet which we use currently wasn't like this all the time, was it? It initially started as a very new concept, and people had an idea of what is good and what is wrong, but they didn't know exactly what to do about the wrong stuff. And that's how the internet developed to what it is today. It was through a process of trial and error through which it developed. This means that we understood through people hacking, through malware practice and all of this stuff, that there are issues with the internet, and then laws and regulations were created to address them. That's the same with the metaverse. It needs to be introduced to the public so that we can understand what is wrong with it and then try to fix those issues. It's hard to fix issues for something that has never existed before, because you quite don't really know what's wrong and what's right with it. And who knows, maybe one day, just like how we open our laptops to access the internet, maybe one day even the metaverse will just be one click away. Thank you for watching this video, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section down below.